I think the biggest problem, I think it's different at different stages, but I think in the beginning, it's probably the identity problem, right? It's the not wanting to be labeled as a recruiter or not wanting to come across as, you're just trying to recruit other agents. And to me, I think that that's probably the biggest thing is the mindset in the very beginning.
They have a status problem, and it's not so much a recruiter, it's the status that they assign to other people who are recruiters, that they don't want to have that same status. So they don't want people to perceive them the way that they perceive others. And so, it's kind of like in one company, you call it a team leader, right? And as a team leader that has a different position of status, team leaders are actually looked at as leaders, right? Team leaders, but their job is recruiting. And so it's actually a compliment to get offered the role of team leader, because somebody sees something in you that allows you the ability to carry the torch, be responsible for what? Building the team, helping with production, training, all this sort of stuff. So in the identity, I first think what I agree with is it's a persona. I think it's a persona, because I think that there's people out there that have no problem recruiting. And so like if I was walking into somebody and I'd say, well, I'll give you an example. Someone who's been trying, they're just not successful. Like they have no bottleneck there. They just don't know what to do. Right. So I think it's, and the question is helping the person with the mindset problem, or do you help the person that doesn't have the mindset problem create a plan? Right. Because always the person that has the mindset problem is always going to be questioning everything, and it's going to be hard to get them to take action.
Yeah. I think that those people, I think you nailed it. I mean, I think it's the plan, right? The clear plan, what they believe in. I think it does. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it comes down to the clear plan, and a clear plan that they believe in. I think, people's belief diminishes over time if they don't have an experience. And I think if they have enough experiences where they've maybe done it the wrong way, or they've, just tried to kind of reach out and pound people, and maybe they don't have the best approach when it comes to, agent attraction and what they're saying, then, they might have enough experiences to where, their belief starts to diminish a little bit, or they lose momentum, and they don't feel like they have a real clear plan in order to be able to hit their goals. And so when that initial, it's kind of like agents that get into real estate and they sell some real estate to their sphere, and then they start to stall out because they lose momentum, because they don't really have a real plan to extend beyond their just immediate people that are around them that know, like, and trust them already. So I think it's kind of similar to that.
Well, let me ask you the adverse. The adverse is, who is the perfect attractor, and what is the perfect attractors? What would you say the perfect attractors commonalities are?
I'd say that that's a great question. I'd say that the perfect, I guess the traits is, thing number one is they treat it like a business. You and I talked a lot about that. I think, and that's worth a discussion probably in and of itself. So they're focused on it, meaning that they're applying the time, energy, and effort into running it like a business, giving it the attention that it deserves. I think too, as part of having a business, they have a clear value proposition, and they add value to agents. They create content to add value to agents. I don't think it's just a matter of the ground and pound, cold calling other agents and just, trying to bang on other people to come to EXP. I think that they come from a position of truly wanting to add value to other people. And I think that they put that message out into the marketplace. And I think that they all have a funnel. Yeah. I mean, I'm biased with the Freedom Funnel, but I mean, I can't deny what you see the top attractors in the company. If you look across the board at any of the top attractors in the entire company, a lot of them have the same thing in common. They got a webinar, they've got training, they got presentations, and they got a call to action and a value proposition to help agents be successful. And so to me, those are the common traits. I mean, what would you say are the
Well, just going back to the original discussion, I'm referring to in their identity. So like we kind of just went all the way down to, the end. I'm saying like if somebody comes to me and I'm like not looking back, connecting the dots of what they have today. I'm saying, what is the identity problem that you identified early on as being the biggest problem in the adverse of that identity? So what the discussion I'm having is around identity. So what I believe, and this is just me knowing 10 of the top people, I believe that because in the way I came up with this question, Woods, was actually thinking through an outcome. So I thought the biggest problem in identity is that, think about it. They've all had some success at something in the past. And when they were looking for an opportunity, see, they came to EXP for the opportunity. And so the difference is when you come to EXP, if you don't see the opportunity and that's not part of the reason you come, then making the effort is going to be effort. And so here's what I mean by that. I thought about who is the person I know that should be blowing up in recruiting and they're not. And the biggest person I know, and this is across all scales, are when people's transactional business is providing them with the lifestyle that they need, then it's very hard for them to try to go move the needle somewhere else, because that it's almost a blessing and a curse. It's like, if your real estate business is doing good, you don't have any pain. If you have done good in the past and your current lifestyle is at risk and you're looking for an opportunity to get back to where you were and you see this, then the mindset that's different at day one, not what plan did they use, what strategy did they use, what tactic did they use. It's their identity was when they see it on day one, they say, I could do this. That's the adverse identity. The adverse identity is when I saw EXP, I had never recruited anyone in my life intentionally. I'd never, outside of, ISAs I had, but I had never really made, that's not true. I mean, we did in 2016, the year before with partner, but up until that point, for 90% of my career, I had never tried to recruit somebody. Right. And even then I would say it was different in which we did it because it was just a different value proposition, although it was very similar. But I had never went out and recruited to a brokerage, for 14, 15 years. But when I saw EXP, because of having to recruit ISAs and because of the little experience that we had with partner, when I saw EXP, the difference was, now I can do that. And the reason I thought I could do it is because I had successfully did what you said. I had built a funnel before. So when I looked at it, I was looking through it like let's take a guy, like if you had success getting clients, even if it was from open house and you had done something, been successful, and you looked at EXP, I think the people that were successful were like, man, I can figure this out, right? That's the difference in the identity. The other people, they struggle with, maybe even like you said, 100%, like they don't want to, the status. And I'm just trying to put people, I mean, most of the people that I know that don't recruit, that should be recruiting, that don't have a problem with their mindset, their biggest problem is their real estate business. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And the reality is it does require you to, because you're starting another business. So it requires you to make a strategic decision on how you're going to take time out of the existing business, out of the real estate business, and what sacrifices are you willing to make in order to build up this new revenue stream. It's what we wrote about in the book, Digital President. I mean, all revenues not created equal. What are you willing to give up?
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Woods, is that they don't even have systems in their real estate business. And because they've never put real systems in their real estate business, they wouldn't know how to put a system into an attraction business. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Like, if you've had success in the past, but if you haven't had success in the past, you have to pick something to be successful at. So it's kind of like they really just have a job. This is the reality. They have a job and it's selling real estate. And when their mouth isn't moving, their business isn't moving. And so they're constantly in this time trade, right? They're just trading their time, trading their time, trading their time. And so the bottleneck is time. The bottleneck for them is, well, when am I going to have the time to do this, learn this? I have, all my time needs to go into producing another transaction. And then if I do go after this, I'm not even going to take the time to even evaluate a good system or a bad system because I don't even know the mechanics of what that is. Because I've never really, I can't go back to my business and say, I got a great referral system. I got a great lead generation system. I got a great hiring system. So I think the act of actually working on your real estate business is producing the muscle, the marketing, the sales, all of the muscle that you need in order to build an agent attraction business. And I stole that from a TikTok, by the way.
Dude, that's spot on. I mean, I'm sitting here, as you were saying that, I was running through examples and I was thinking through people in my organization and I'm thinking, is that really true? Right. And when I think about the top attractors in my organization, it is true. It's almost like their agent attraction business and their ability to focus on it, scale it, and really grow it and go after it is almost elastic to the amount of success and systems that they've put into their real estate business, whether that's either to give them the freedom or, like you said, that's just helped them build the muscle to be able to, build an agent attraction organization and focus on that agent attraction business. I mean, can you think of like people in your organization that like where that doesn't apply? Or I mean, is that the same thing with you? I mean, your top people, they've all had successful, system dependent real estate businesses, right?
Yeah. So this, I sent you the TikTok and maybe we can insert it, kind of like, but this guy is talking about, I wish I could put it on the screen. Maybe I can. Let me see if I can play this real quick.
90% of millionaires come from real estate, then 100% of billionaires come from private equity. And every month I acquire several new companies. We've gotten into the game of mergers, acquisitions. Once we figured out how to successfully build a company, now we're just acquiring companies. And I think it's the biggest game financially a person can play, but anyone can play it even on a small level. You want to own a company that can produce great cash flow and don't make the number one mistake that most entrepreneurs do, which is operating it. As soon as it's profitable enough that you can hire someone to run it for you and grow it, and it spins less off to you, but it spins something off and you reclaim all your time, repurpose your time into raising your standards and doing a second one better. By the time you get to your fifth business, not only will you have multiple streams of income, not only will you have made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot along the way, you can cut that down with mentors and business advisors, but by your fifth one, that's usually when people hit it crazy, crazy big. So there's 3 money games to play. And if you play, to even to a small extent, all 3 of them, you can live any life that you want. 90% of millionaires come from real estate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so he's basically saying like, once you've learned how to build a successful company, right, then you can go and acquire other companies. And he said, don't make the big mistake that most entrepreneurs make and try to run it. It's going to spit off less over time, right?
Yeah. Think about Alex Hormozian that says, his dad was a doctor and he left his country. And he said one thing that, on Father's Day, he put out a video and he said the 3 things he got from his dad. And one of them is that when he left that country, they couldn't take his knowledge. And see, in Silicon Valley, the problem is that people need to fall in love with the process of building their business and understand if you're not building your real estate business, you're not going to build an attraction business. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the top 10 people, I had some success. Coach Cliff, worked for us for 10 plus years. He had built the business before. He has a business background, business degree from SMU, became a coach, helped other real estates build their business. So when it came time for him to build his own business, he had acquired the skills over time. Your real estate business is, I'm not going to use names, but we could talk through every one of them, and all of them had turned their real estate business into a successful business. And by doing that, acquired the skills to spin off and attack agent attraction like a business, whether that was through resources, skills in marketing, relationships. But it's that skill that you learn along the way that makes you more valuable in the marketplace. And so a lot of people, and I've seen people do it in 90 days. I've seen people acquire, like, I'm going to build my real estate business off of postcards, right? They choose something, right? And because they chose that, maybe if they stick with it and they do all the things they're supposed to gonna do, they're gonna maybe send out a piece that doesn't work, then a piece that does. But as they get through, as they learn the skill and install that in their business, they become more valuable based upon the things they've learned. Now they can turn around and use that direct mail skill in any other business in the future, right? Same thing if they have hired an inside salesperson. Same thing if they have, built a sales team before at their previous occupation. Whatever skills you've acquired, you naturally apply to your business. But when you have to think about your business as something you're not going to operate, meaning you're not going to be a producer. So you have to build systems and processes. If you can build a business where the production isn't dependent on you, said differently, your business is not a job, and you can build a real business, then you can build a real attraction business. If your current job is sales and you're head of sales for your team, then you're a machine. And when you go after agent attraction, you're going to do it by trying to be a machine. And, you might, depending on how good you're a machine in your other business, is how good you're going to be in this. But your biggest bottleneck is every time you walk out of one, you're going to lose revenue. And the more revenue you lose, the less likelihood you're going to go for the new opportunity because it's going to cost you.
Yeah. And there's been people that have done that, right? Like there's been people who have been salespeople or more prospecting oriented who have made a conscious decision to step outside of their real estate business and focus on agent attraction and built, successful organizations, but they had to trade off. And there's lots of great stories about people who have gone into debt to do it, mortgaged their house multiple times to make that crossover because they didn't have that revenue coming in. But I think like what you said is powerful in the fact that if you build the systems in the business, like those same principles apply. I mean, when you think about the business, I mean, what is it? I mean, you've got the marketing systems, which are, getting attention in the marketplace, hopefully generating sales opportunities. You got the sales system, you got the onboarding system or service, and then you got kind of like the ongoing servicing of the client. When you nail those like core things in a real estate business, you can apply that same template, those same principles over to an agent attraction business. And it's just like the offer's just different, right? Like, but there should be a focused system in place for each of those things. And the truth is, the thing that's awesome about when you bring agents onto EXP is you actually do have assistance in servicing the sale, meaning, EXP helps with the onboarding the client and they help with the servicing of the client if you get them plugged into, those systems correctly. So yeah, man, I mean, it's really at the end of the day, this is business building. It's not like some abstract thing of just recruiting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what the problem, the problem happens is in the scenario you use outline that saying, these people have done both, but people have also mortgaged their home. I think the question is, why did we not mortgage our home? Well, I'll tell you why. We had a business when we started that produced revenue that allowed us to have our time back to be able to work on it. And what we were always up against was, systemizing the business to the level with which we always systemized sales and marketing, which was a funnel. the more our funnel was dialed in, our marketing was dialed in, then the more income and revenue we had potentially to earn, and the more revenue that came in, the free cash flow allowed us to invest back in the business. And here's what it said. A guy said to me yesterday, he's probably top 15 in the company. He said, I don't know how he said it, but he said something that I already have the billionaire's calendar. That's what he said. And he said it so nonchalant. It was conversational we were talking about a big announcement that's about to be made at EXP. And he said, he was giving me his opinion. He said, but I already have a billionaire's calendar, meaning, I already have all my time back, to do the things that I want to do. Right. And so but how did he earn that? How did he accomplish that? Was, there's his success 100% has been, I was looking up a video on YouTube this morning, and under that keyword, his stuff was first. And so, he has his time back, but he did the work. He planted the assets. He got the vision. And so I think if people want to, be good at agent attraction, I think that they need to get a strategy. And I think, understanding what you said, first of all, identifying the bottleneck, am I treating it like a business? Am I not, because I have the wrong mindset? And I think the best way to do that, Woods, is to take yourself out of your current reality and get a vision. I think that's the most important thing, that, you have to get a clear vision of what it is, if there was no constraints, if you could wave a magic wand and just ask yourself questions like, if I could have one skill that I don't have, and I could have and it was the most unfair advantage, what skill would I want that I don't currently have, that I believe would make building an agent attraction business easier? And whatever you come up with in that answer, question it. But if you answer that question right, then either go get that skill or find somebody with that skill and get your business producing enough free cash flow that you can invest in this new business, because it is an investment. And if you make that investment and you answered the question correctly, then it will give you a positive return, and you just keep rinsing and repeating. Right?
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the biggest thing that you said there was find the person that has that skill. I can tell you that even in helping to get the vision for yourself, obviously you got to go through and find out what's important for your life and get your own personal vision. But I can tell you that, for me, getting around the people that have the life that I want and who are executing, have the business that I want. I don't want to sit around and grind out on the phones all day, bro. That ain't my life by strategy. Like that sounds like a nightmare to me. So, so for me, I'm trying to stay immersed in the world where people, have, again, the lifestyle, like where they're on their laptop, they're creating content, they can do their business from anywhere. They have systems, processes, funnels, and they have a real business, backing them up. So, so they can serve people at the highest level. And I know that, like, dude, you've been a blessing for me in that regard. Jay, a lot of the people that are kind of in our inner circle. And so I think it's important to get around those type of people and help catch that vision and keep that vision alive, or look for this, like even people that are consuming this content right now, man, like hopefully this is kind of reigniting some of that vision for them. I mean, I remember when it was hard to step out of that old legacy business, that's just paying a little bit of money, and money's great, but like the lifestyle was awful, just working with no end. And now I can just say, like, my life is like completely changed, bro. And you've been a great blessing to me and help lead the way and keep that vision going. And, but But I think once you catch that vision, man, getting really serious about the plan. And I love the idea of asking yourself that question of what's that one skill. I know for me, it was the marketing, it was the customer acquisition funnel. How am I going to open this thing up to where I can consistently generate the people that I need? And man, once that problem got solved, life has never been the same and never will be the same.
Yeah. And I would say the thing for me is the number one thing that skill that I had to acquire was a skill that I had. So I had the skill, I had developed the skill. It was, it's like I have the skill to cold call, right? But do I want to, right? And so it was more around the vision.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it was life by strategy. It was really getting a vision of, man, if this thing can be the vehicle to that place, it could be a cramped ride, but I'll sit in the back, right? I'll ride in the back of the truck, and it can be snowing outside. I'll get a jacket. I'll get an Antarctica, Mount Everest, snowsuit, But if that's where y'all are going and it's guaranteed to get there, shit, let me in, right? And so that's the point is that most people don't believe that strong enough. They don't have a strong enough vision in the destination, and so they can't really find the time to do the necessary. Listen, if somebody has, if there's a will, there's a way. If you become the thoughts that dominate your mind. If you can get a clear vision on what your life could be and how it could be better, and you can identify a vehicle. The thing about agent attraction and the revenue share program at EXP is that it is a real opportunity that's not going away. I think that the biggest constraint that people have today is they think it's too late. And the fact is, it's not too late. I think that, and I've heard it said from different sources, different ways. But even EXP, let's say we had 100,000 agents, which we don't, but let's say we did, just to use a round number, 3 years from now, 70 of those 1,000 agents won't be here. Right. And so there'll be 70, but we'll still have 100,000. We might have 120. But there's in real estate, 30% of the people get in and then get out of the business, get in, then get out of the business for whatever reason. And in there, you're going to have some all-stars. And so if you can build a machine to know that, hey man, the guy who gets into real estate next year, 1 year from today, he's going to need help with this, this, and this. How could I make more money sharing, or providing help solutions to the problems that agents have on their journey from zero to, the destination that they're trying to get to. And so a lot of the times the information that you have is extremely valuable. There's this lady named Barbara Austin. I don't know if she's still alive, but this lady literally could have been my grandma. No question. And I remember going to her house and her having all her spices on the wall and like this little thing like my grandma. And when I walked in, she was somebody's grandma. She had white hair.
She had been grandma vibe.
She was my lifesaver, bro. Lifesaver. Anytime my first year I needed anything, she was such a sweetheart, man. She helped me so much.
Was she a broker or was she's just another agent? Or
She was just an agent in the office that, sat by me one day and I got her card. And one day I called her for a question and she was so inviting that I called her again and again. And so, back then, at that stage of my business, it was more like mentor me. Right. But there became a point where I needed help with, actually getting more transactions. But in both stages, I needed help. And, regardless, there was never a time, in the beginning, I wasn't trying to figure out how to get more deals. I was trying to figure out how to fill this thing out, or how to complete this document or, and those sorts of things. So I think if somebody can, switch their mindset that, hey, I'm going to systematize my business and create opportunity. This is just my opinion. this is the right mindset. The best mindset is my real estate business is a business of creating opportunity in my local market for others who struggle. And I'm going to build that business where the consumer is the real estate agents in my local market that need help. And I'm going to mentor and share and continue to be a student who is on the quest of finding what's always working and turning around and sharing it with my community of agents that look at me as the go-to person to help them. And then at some point, I'm going to learn how to do that from a local to a national scale. And, if you can switch your mind of, whether you're just going to do that. So there's a friend of ours. We have a mutual friend. His name is Ryan Stuman. And I just so happen to have it. Now, Ryan has done well for himself. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. He's doing a great job.
What would you say is his secret power? He'll probably get forwarded this or something, but what would you say is his secret power?
His secret power? I'd say it's sales. Social media would probably be at the top. Sales, social media. And I think that he's done a really great job building a community.
Building a community, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When do you think he started that? I'm going to
Long
show you.
time
I'm going to show you an email from 2010. Okay.
So 2010. So this is 2023.
Uh-huh.
So this is
April
13
19th,
years ago.
2010. Hello all. I have strategically sent this email to people who I believe are like-minded. We are all salespeople that go to war in the marketplace on a daily basis. I'm starting a networking group. Is that a community?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But at
absolutely.
the same time, I will be the
Yep.
key speaker. I will have key speakers that have achieved high levels of success tell us how their dreams started. So kind of like a podcast, what they did to achieve.
Right.
The first meeting takes place next week on Thursday, April 29th, 2010. After that, we will get together the first Thursday of every month at 8:30 inside of the Chicago Title. So he's what is he doing? I mean, at the core, what does this say? Right?
Yeah.
At the core,
He's trying to align his community and add value and create value for them.
yeah, he's trying to add value to the marketplace and organize the most
Yep.
organized wins and organize people in order to do so by creating things that he can talk about and share with other people. Right?
Yep.
And it says for this breakfast, but the lesson you walk away with will make you rich.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, listen, success leaves.
That's 2010. Since that date, he made a post the other day. He's posted 4,000 videos.
Wow.
If you would have saw him, I don't remember exactly what the numbers were, but he got a vision to help people. He was doing it locally there, just with the small group of people he knew. And he started. And then now today, he does events where he's, had Logan Paul. He contracted Tom Brady. That deal fell apart. Rick Ross, the guy, he does these big masterminds. Very similar in nature 13 years later. But if you would have told him 13 years ago when he wrote that email, looking for a hand select of people of what that mindset was going to turn into, what that quest, what that vision, right? That vision of, I'm not just a loan officer. I'm somebody that helps people. And
Right.
we're going to do it in Chicago Title for free, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Right.
Yeah.
And anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. You could just be the host. You could just be the host of organizing value in your marketplace that helps people.
100%. And it's so funny, dude. It's like anybody can do it. Could anybody who's like you said, you don't even have to be the one that gives the presentation or creates the value, just the organizing of the value and the distribution of the value to the marketplace is that can be your role.
The conduit, the unspoken, the Arsenio Hall method.
Yeah. It's learning how to distribute value in the marketplace differently. I always talk about people this is how I think about it from like kind of a conceptual principle level is we're in the business of creating value and getting a return on that value that we create, right? Capturing value. So money is just simply a representation of value created. In the beginning, most people's businesses, especially service providers, they're creating value in one-on-one environments. That's where they're doing the job, they're prospecting, it's hand-to-hand combat. They don't have any scalable systems in the business. As you learn how to build a business, you're just learning how to distribute that value through different channels that allows you to go from one-on-one to one to many, right? And so all we're doing too is learning how to continually scale the distribution of value to where you can start doing that exponentially, especially as you start leveraging things like content. We're shooting this video. 1,000 people might watch this video because we put it on YouTube and we've leveraged the distribution channel to create that value. And the way that we capture the value is people that listen to this stuff and, you know, they want help with things and we can help them. Obviously with EXP, people want help with their real estate business. They can partner with us and we'll help them. So to me, it's like, once you get your mindset on like, man, I'm going to be somebody who creates value for other people. And I'm going to figure out how to help figure out how to help one person, then how to figure out how to repeat that and help as many people as possible. That's when you start, you know, getting purpose in your life too, man, and start building a business that scales. And that's at the heart of Agent Attraction.
Yeah, I think if you look at, if you read Digital President, it says, and it really was from Content Inc. It's you know, build the audience first. You know, do what I feel like he did was he started by inviting people to something, and that at the core, if you do that, if you just do that, if you want to be good at attraction, invite people consistently to things of value. And you will have relationships, people who know, like, and trust you. The more you invite them, reciprocity will sit in. The different position you will be, you won't just be an agent in their mind. You'll be something else based upon how you position yourself in that event. He was a speaker. But yeah, I would say at the end of the day, I know we got to run, but I would say at the end of the day, you know, the biggest constraint is, and the reason I shared that email from Ryan is that the most successful people out there that I know started in their local market with one universal principle. How can I help others? Not help a buyer buy a house, not help a seller sell a house. How do I help agents do more of that? And when you can just add that, that's when you see the next business. That's when you see the agent attraction opportunity. That's when you start to realize, man, I do have a way to create value. This person's my friend. This person's my friend. This guy's in my upline. I could organize it this way. I can't do it locally. We can do a webinar. We can do a Zoom meeting. There's so many different ways. So if you haven't had a chance and you'd like the opportunity to learn what we consider as the 3 phases of agent attraction, make sure you go check out agentattractionwebinar.com. If you go to agentattractionwebinar.com, there's a video and it goes through 3 phases. We're actually breaking those down. You can always go to, you know, take our free online training on our YouTube channel, which is basically on YouTube. What is it? I love Agent
Attraction. Yeah. I love Agent Attraction. And there's the phase 1 Agent Attraction training on there.
Playlist. Yeah, you can go watch that playlist. It's everything you need to do to go through phase 1, but make sure you check out the webinar where you can see all 3 phases. Obviously, our goal is to help put people on the path and ultimately live the best life you can possibly live, which is
life by strategy.
Living a life by strategy.
I hope you enjoyed the I Love Agent Attraction clip. If you did, here's some more clips that you can watch. And also, if you want to take a deeper dive into your agent attraction, we have a free training right here that you can go through. Thank you so much. We do put out new content every single week, so feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications, and you'll be notified when we drop the next episode or video of I Love Agent Attraction.